Well, good. It's afternoon, so I guess we'll just start right into Christy. Unless you get it, we'll just start right into questions.
No, we're good.
Okay. Maybe last time we did it was wanted to start this way. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's start with the Silver Line. Thank you both for being here. So you brought up, an opening date is coming soon. Obviously, you want to be sure to get that certification first before you move with the date. Is there any concern that you're going to hit that goal of the pre-Thanksgiving sort of travel? If it goes another week or 2 weeks, or are the bus systems already working on things and that they can be ready in time, to meet that goal?
Yeah, we're working with all of our partners, Justin. So we're very focused on opening the line for Thanksgiving holiday travel. We know how important that is. So we look forward to hopefully next week being able to get a firm actual date. Team's working, I would say, 24/7, and all of our partners, MWA, Fairfax, and Loudon, but also the WMSC. It's very, very productive, collaborative relationship. So at this point, it's just a kind of handful of items. I would say, again, not significant in size or scope, but we want to make sure that they're either done by next week or they're within a couple days of being done, so we can be 100% confident of the date. Okay. We'll just keep horseshoeing around, or
Sure.
yeah, just to make it simple, I guess, if that works.
You guys got permission to run all 7,000 some restrictions. Notice that there's only like 12 or 13 or 14 out there today, yesterday. Is there more?
Before I got in the meeting, I think we had 18.
18 going?
And,
What do you kind of envision for kind of ramping stuff up? I mean, is it going to be slow? Is it going to be stair-stepped?
Yeah, Jordan, I think stair-steps probably a good analogy. So, and I know this is super complex and it's very hard to follow, right? And it's probably frustrating for all of you because it seems like a Rubik's Cube here. But there are multiple pieces to this. So, number one, we have to wrap up our yellow line project. That gives, not only is that super important to get people off the shuttle buses and back into having great rail service, it also opens up Alexandria Yard. And Alexandria Yard, it gives us another yard to add more flexibility and operational capacity and more place to do measurements and all of those kinds of things. So that's important. We also have to make sure we got more access to the fleet, but we also have kind of created in some ways two sub-fleets, right? Because we got a group that we want to run on all lines and a group that we don't want to run on other parts of the network. So we have to be very careful how we distribute those and make sure all of our procedures are 100% in place, not just on the maintenance side, but also at our rail control center, our terminal supervisors, and our operators. So, getting this right is more important than an extra day, right? I mean, we haven't had these trains out for basically a year, so safety and getting it right is our paramount, obviously, priority every day. Okay, so then what we need to do is, gradual walk this up. I think this weekend, we believe we'll probably start seeing a few more trains. But next Thursday, when we have committee meeting, our chief operating officer, Brian Dwyer, will be here, and he'll transparently lay out kind of a milestone approach. Because what people are really wondering, it's like, hey, great, like they don't care about trains and measurements and where they are. They want to know about service, and there's a complication between this technical piece and how to make it very clear what service is. So what we want to do too is we don't want to commit to a service that we can't make, right? Because that leads to lack of reliability and predictability for customers. So the first thing we'll probably start off with is a lot more trippers out on the system to naturally reduce headways and increase frequency without the schedule changing. So that when you're out in the system, you'll see a lot more trains than the quote-unquote posted schedule, because most people really don't care about a posted schedule. Then we'll work on the posted schedule. So and we're going to start obviously with red first, because red has been where our crowding is, and then figure that part out, and then it'll be throughout the network after that.
And so red probably after Silver Line opens, after all that sort of thing, or kind of still figuring.
I think Brian will probably get a little more granular next Thursday. We want to get that exactly right, but I think you're going to see, we've already been running every tripper we have on the red to reduce increase frequency, reduce headway as well. So those realistically, probably those will run in some type of parallel and then take another jump after, because then we have another pick in December that will, have more operators available to do even more stuff. Yeah, so thanks.
Two questions. You talk about signage and the punch list. What specifically are the holdups that are preventing you still hoping for before Thanksgiving or before Thanksgiving travel, I assume. And the other things, I saw some concern expressed online that even with this return to service plan for the 7,000 series cars, that people are concerned they're going to be long wait times still. What are you hoping to get the wait times down to if you move ahead with what the Safety Commission has permitted?
Sure. Maybe I'll start with the latter first, if you will. So, as I just mentioned to Jordan, next Thursday we're hoping to give a lot more transparency and clarity around ultimately, I'll call it rail restoration in our service plan. So outside of that, it's really what I just said. So as we have more trains available, our first priority would be reducing red line crowding. I mean, that's again excluding the trains needed to open Silver Line, which this now gives us a pathway to do that. And then from there, we'll just continue to adjust from trippers to actually confirming those trains for schedule. So that's that piece. On the first piece, again, there's a group, I think we have about 15 items, give or take, left. Again, not significant in nature, but they have to get done. And I mean, some of them are as simple as that sign has not been posted. So if there's 80 signs, someone forgot one. There's another piece that could be, we're waiting for some software files from a contractor that just has to be actually in our package. And then there's a couple that are related to a couple small electrical kind of just, wiring checks and stuff like that. So, well, we didn't want to announce a date and then again, when we do this, we want to get this right, it's safe, it's reliable, customers can plan their life around. So we believe next week we'll have the confidence level to provide that specific date.
And let me go back to the Safety Commission. I mean, how did it get to the point where you had to publicly, expose this argument, and we had to have two senators come in and get you bang heads and get you guys to get along? How did we get to that point? And can you guarantee the ridership that it will be safe?
Well, one, I don't live in the past, I live in the future, so listen, I'm here to work with anyone that has the goal to provide the safe, reliable, frequent service that our region needs and deserves, and I've said that clearly. Safety is the paramount thing that I wake up and believe in every day. I used to be a chief safety officer. I believe highly in our team, who is doing great work out there and is working sure to have great safe service. So we're really focused on the future, not in the past, and so I appreciate the role the WMSC plays, and we want to be great partners to move the region forward. Yeah. Next, as we work our way.
I'll take a step.
Mr. Tom, where did you pop in? I didn't know you were
Well,
here.
you can watch online and then you
Yeah.
come in.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. It's a new age.
Yeah,
It's nice.
I saw your video the other day. That was
I'm happy to be here.
It was
I'm
quite
here.
yeah.
Is it possible that you could open the Silver Line without like a ribbon cutting? In other words, like you get the word that it's ready to go, and before you have a big ceremony, you just say send the trains.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's possible. But I also think it's important for the region, and Chair, maybe you'll jump in. Yes, from a technical point of view, that's possible, and I don't think we're going to delay service to have a ceremony. With that said, I think it's really important for this region to celebrate something that so many people have been waiting a generation for, and so many people have put their tax dollars into, and a lot of people their political careers into, to make something important happen. We're about to open a rail line that serves that whole part of Northern Virginia, but arguably one of the most important airports on the East Coast that hasn't had a high quality or high capacity transit system. So, I think it is important for the region to celebrate, but I would think the celebration shouldn't get in the way of the actual service itself. But Chair, maybe you.
Yeah, and Adam, I would agree. I mean, look, this has been decades in the making. You have Senator Warner and Senator Kane, both governors, both dealt with this issue. Local electeds, others, all contributing, the airport authority, everyone else coming together to finally get this done. So I think it is important to celebrate that. I think it's also important to recognize that this extension is an area of growth for Metro. This is not just, adding onto a line. This is a real opportunity to grow ridership for Metro. And I think, Metro is the main foundation block and what really brings this region together. And I think to celebrate that, when you see all three jurisdictions and representatives of the federal government on stage together celebrating something like this, and a new era, we see this as a real chance to reset what Metro is and what it's going to be in the future. Again, Randy said, let's look at the future. We've got new leadership. We've got a new team in place. There's a lot of positive things happening here now, and I think all of that comes together with the opening of this line, and I think it's important to do
That rolls out at 5 a.m., right?
I'm not sure you would love a 5 a.m.
I'll
but
let that time.
yeah, you are. Yeah. So.
Well, and just one more quickly. So, like, say someone has a flight that they're planning for Thanksgiving, and I've had people say to me, "I would like to take the train to Dulles if I can." What should you tell someone who is planning that flight, given the hang up that the silver lining?
Yeah, we appreciate that people would love to know this information. A year ago, a few more days gets us into next week, and I think that'll give us into that confidence level that we can get exact date. And I think if you haven't booked a flight by Thanksgiving now, Metro rail service to the airport is probably not your top issue. You probably have a very hard fight getting a seat.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I don't know if you want.
So I understand one of the checklist items that's outstanding for project, Silver Line project acceptance is like a specific amount of cost overrun funding from the airports authority. And when I say that, I don't mean the trust fund agreement amendments that I'm talking about, the $250 million that was approved cost overruns a few months ago. How much money are you waiting on under that umbrella?
Yeah, that's not connected to these are all physical items. All the financial transaction elements between MWA and Metro have been completed. So, these are all 100% like physical, actual things that you either need to actually occur, or verification, a document, or a photo, or something to prove that something was done. So these are really
The
kind of
final checklist
construction
items, yeah.
checklist
Yeah.
items versus everything else. Yeah.
I guess just more along that silver line thing, not trying to sort of jump the gun, and I understand you're not trying to set artificial deadlines that might not be able to be met. But when you announce this date, presumably next week, is it something that you're looking at like a couple of weeks from now, or are you trying to be able to say, look, within a couple of days, we'll be ready to go here?
Yeah, we still got we mentioned about a week ago, we need 3 weeks to get ready. It took us a couple extra days to get return to service plan concurrence done. So, you can back in some dates from that. So we're doing those activities that we needed in the 3 weeks, and we've kind of found some ways to accelerate a few of those days. That was where we wanted to be, and of course, you know how life works. You figure out how to make something happen. So, but also, our goal is not to open on the busiest day for Dulles, right? So Dulles needs to operate an airport really well, and us opening doesn't necessarily help that. And we, from a Metro point of view, we need to get people on the trains and moving. You generally don't want an opening day to be crush load of a Thanksgiving Day travel, right? Because Thanksgiving's also a lot of non-regular transit users as well, and then we have staffing challenges around the holidays for us as well, right? So our idea here is if we can get a date next week, it's going to give a couple day build into actually opening it for majority of people that would use the system for holiday travel.
So it's still looking ahead a couple of weeks from the date that you announced.
Yeah,
but-
we will not be opening next week if that's what you're asking.
Right,
Yeah.
well, I didn't know kind of like just what you're anticipating, I guess, with
Yeah.
how much lead time you need.
Yeah.
But it sounds like there's at least some cautious optimism then about all the holiday stuff, or.
I think we're cautiously optimistic that next week we're going to announce a date that the region will be really happy with.
Follow up on that.
I'm sorry,
Well,
I don't know
wait,
how
Tom-
else to say the actual
Tom-
word,
Tom's-
right?
yeah.
I know you're all dying
And
for the
actually-
date, but yeah.
I'm getting more confused as we go, but reading between all the lines, it sounds like the goal is still to have it open for Thanksgiving travel, you just can't guarantee it yet.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And I have questions for both of you. First of all, Paul, all the concepts we heard for the future, a couple were discussed, seemed like people didn't really like the zone-based thing very much. More positivity, but some concern over the low-income discount. What did you hear that you liked out of all those things, and what is conceivably possible for the fiscal year that starts next summer?
Yeah, I mean, I think just the general concept of simplifying things is an easy one, I think, that we can tackle. I think some of them are definitely, some of the concepts are potentially longer term. It is going to be a dramatic change, for the region. I think we have to carefully look at the financial piece and make sure that we are really comfortable given how we're funded right now. That's that's very important. And we've asked them to put everything on the table. They're gaming various scenarios and options, as you saw today. Everything is still on the table. The zone system might be a little more complicated, but maybe at the end of the day, that's where we end up. I don't know, but there's a lot of things I think in that presentation that a lot of us like, and we're going to move forward with it. Last year, we implemented the flat fare after 9:30 and on the weekends, and I think that's really proving to be two very good things, for ridership and our customers. So, I think that's the kind of thinking we're going to bring to this, and we're going to work closely with, Randy and his team, obviously, Tom, and, come up with something that's going to not only work for our customers, but it's going to work for us as an organization.
So are you saying flat fare is a specific one you might want to explore more?
Sure. I mean, again, everything is on the table, but I think that one financially is a real, again, given how we're funded right now, would be potentially a real hurdle. At least this coming year, for sure. I mean, that's a whole different conversation.
I know, just add on the flat fare, and I think this is really important. I know it's very hard for you all as media to explain context to the general public on this, but I'll have 100 tweets today when you post stuff about it just be a flat fare, what's wrong with you, just make it simple. It's not that simple. So when you get someone that says, hey, I've been in New York City subway and it's a flat fare, we're not New York City subway. We are a combination of New York City subway and like Long Island Railroad and Metro North Railroad. We are a hybrid system. So it's very important that publicly we're all on the same page trying to get people to understand the complexity of our system. We are not like Boston, the T, we're not like New York City subway. We are a commuter rail and a subway system combined. And that is a big difference. So they started off with a flat fare. We do not have a flat fare. To go to a flat fare is not just a financial calculation, as Tom mentioned, significant Title VI equity aspects. It is the most inequitable aspect to go to a flat fare. So it might seem simple, and a lot of people that probably live maybe just in the district might go, oh, that makes sense, because if they're going 2 stops. But then someone actually further out might actually be getting an actual benefit that actually is inequitable to the people that are more low income, that need, the kind of from an analysis point of view, that from an equity analysis point of view. So I know that seems the easiest thing, but I'm not sure how everyone gets that communicated. But I think it's really important for people when they say, "You're like this, why don't you do like that?" It's not that simple.
And I think, Tom, that's why people put zone fare on the table to try to bridge that sort of desire, but understanding what Randy just said, it would never pass Title VI. And it just wouldn't.
And so we have to think through different ways. And just the current system, there's ways, I think Tom mentioned in D, there's ways to take our current system and make it simpler and fairer for everyone as well. So.
And that's why I asked about D1. Is there other and again, just taking the non-peak and peak, simplifying that in some ways, whatever numbers work, would be a huge improvement in and of itself.
Sure.
So
Tom, I think you had
we
a
should,
question for me, and then we'll go back.
Yeah,
to
we
it.
should.
As far as the return to service plan, does this give you a path to bring all the trains back, or based on how you have to measure them and how you have to switch them out, is there a limit to how many you can bring back, even in the final stages of what was approved?
We believe the return to service plan is the path forward to bringing the fleet back into service.
And how long would we like that?
Well,
to take for all of them?
Well, one thing I hope is appreciated publicly. I've leaned into transparency. Everything we've been doing, where it's publicly posted, we put that out there. You'll see it's very clear. There's multiple steps to go through. After those steps, we go to another component of the plan. So again, our COO will be here next Thursday and kind of lay out a little bit more granularity about what that plan means for service levels. But the document, I think, does speak for itself in that there's defined steps to move forward.
And Tom, the important piece is we actually have a plan to move forward.
Yeah,
and that's
which we did not have. I will tell you, on day one when I was here, we didn't have a plan. So I feel really great about the staff and the collaboration with everyone to get us a plan. So, any couple of quick ones here?
We got it.
Then we'll go.
Is there a meeting on Thursday? Or you said you're gonna lay this out next week?
Yeah, I believe we have a committee meeting next Thursday.
Committee
I could be
meeting,
I could be off by that, but I believe it's next Thursday. Yeah, thanks.
Someone brought up that Metro's opened new stations or new lines on Saturdays since like the 80s or the 70s or something like that. I didn't know that.
Me either.
Is that, I mean, obviously it sounds like maybe less traffic and like, or less, ridership and probably easier. But would you guys kind of hold to a weekend opening, or do you not care when the Silver Line's open day-wise?
Yeah, there's no preference for a Saturday. So, I didn't even know about a history of a Saturday. So, listen, I very much everyone's trying to word it differently to say what's the date. We don't have a date today. I promise you, though, you are all the first group of people we're going to tell about the date.
Thank you.
So,
You know what? And while you're all here, the one thing that where we're getting a lot of comments on is people have the impression that the new extension ends at Dulles. There are 2 more stations beyond Dulles.
Yeah.
So some of the local elected, some of the people involved in this are like, no, don't forget there's 2 more stations.
Yeah.
So
and
just-
Loudon, I think,
yeah,
is 100%.
Yeah.
Loudon Center is 100% built out because of the proximity to Metro. So, I mean, if you go out there, I was blown away how much transit-oriented development is happening right at that station.
And those
So,
people are
yeah,
dying for those stations to
that's right.
open.
So, okay, thank you all.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.